It's fantastic.
Yeah, took me back to my student days.
And my primary school. Well, whilst Christians are celebrating this Easter, this coming week also sees Passover celebrations in the Jewish community. And it's a big week for Sikhs too, who on Wednesday and Thursday celebrate the birth of Sikhism, commonly known as the Sikh New Year, Vaisakhi. So what is it about this time of year that makes the big faith festivals coincide? Well, with us now are religion consultant and writer Suzanne Evans and Dr. Savi Singh, who writes from the Sikh Times. Hello to both of you.
Hi.
Why is it about this time of year? Is it just spring and people start to feel a new year coming?
Yes, absolutely. It's spring. The earth is being reborn again, or that's how it seems. And I think it's fascinating how even the tabloid editors have got completely carried away over the last few weeks, talking about how the daffodils are late. The daffodils are late, for goodness sake, considering all the things that are going on in the world. Yet if it's still obsessing us today, this coming of the new year and the new springtime, think of the impact it must have had on our ancestors, how important it was to them. They didn't have hot running water, they didn't have heat, they didn't have light. This was an absolutely crucial time of rebirth, of hope coming out of the darkness.
And then it's Passover, what, the 13th to the 20th of April?
That's right. Passover, of course, is a festival on many different levels. Historically, it celebrates a very important, most significant period of history for the Jewish people, when Moses led them out of slavery in Egypt into safety and sanctuary. Religiously, of course, it's also a time when they recognize their covenant with God, who promised to protect his people and continue to do so. It's also a spring festival, again, celebrating fertility and the fact that they eat eggs in the Passover Seder. The Passover meal recognises that too.
And what about all the complicated lunar timings of all this then? Because the Easter formula is extremely complicated.
Rows have been running about Easter for the last 2,000 years and still pop up occasionally today. Of course, the early Christians didn't celebrate Easter at all. They simply remembered Passover, the time when Jesus died, and imbibed it with the extra significance of Jesus' death and resurrection. It wasn't until the 4th century that the date of Easter was actually accepted as being a special day, Easter Sunday. But then there were various debates that still go on, as I say, to this day about when Easter should actually be celebrated.
Dr. Aurora, the Sikh festival of Vaisakhi, what are the origins of that?
Well, it's been celebrated a long time, actually, way before the Sikh religion itself. It's actually similar, kind of harvest thing, really, where with the equivalent of Morris dancers, probably today called Bhangra dancers, who actually celebrated in the fields the fact that there was a harvest going on. But in 1699, the 10th Guru of the Sikhs, Guru Gobind Singh, actually brought about all the congregation in a single place called Anandpur Sahib. And there he basically brought in the Sikhs and said, look, what we need to have is a new identity for our Sikh religion, because Sikh religion had been around before for about 500 years. But at the time you had to think about what was going on. There was a massive campaign of ethnic cleansing by the Mughal Empire. And the Sikhs formulated themselves with the 5 Ks, which you may have heard of, the 5 Ks of the Sikhs, and that actually symbolises the true Sikh.
So how do you celebrate Vaisakhi?
Well, Vaisakhi is celebrated in many different ways. You'll notice that outside Sikh temples there's actually normally a big pole, which is called the Nishan Sahib, which is actually the symbol of the Sikh religion, and we think it's very important to keep that clean. And for a number of years and through the months, it's actually cleaned with something as pure as possible, which is yogurt. And another thing that takes place is something called a Nagar Kirtan. Now, Nagar stands for town, and Kirtan stands for religious activities like singing hymns. And what actually happens is there's a motorcade, normally a motorcade in towns, where people actually walk through the streets in processions, and it's a community festival, so people will walk around and just kind of celebrate the joy with all different communities of all faiths coming together and just saying, you know, let's celebrate the value of being together.
We've seen how commercialised some of the Christian festivals can become. I mean, you can't move for chocolate, you know, from January the 2nd, it seems.
That's
but
right.
what about in the Sikh festivals? Is the same commercialisation?
There isn't that commercialisation, only in the sense that I think it's more of a community thing. It's less about the fact that I'm going to receive a particular gift, or can I have that particular gift. You know, what we're looking at is the fact that communities come together and celebrate cultural diversity.
OK, and Suzanne, I mean, what about the commercial side of the Christian Easter?
It's sickening, isn't
It's
it, in more ways than one, really, not just...
When you see the supermarket shelves.
Yeah, it is. I have to say, sometimes when you see them, as you say, from the 2nd of January, the kind of red mist comes down, you think, just get rid of them. I'm a PR and marketing consultant. I understand
so
that
it's your
these...
fault, blame her.
I understand that they think, great way to sell some extra chocolate, make it egg-shaped, put it in some packaging and charge a premium price. But at the end of the day, come on, it's ripping off a Christian festival, and it's not good enough. And I would like to see churches do the same as they've done at Christmas, They sell charity Christmas cards at Christmas. Let's be able to go into our churches and buy fair trade charity Easter eggs. That's my vision for the future of Easter.
OK, good place to leave it, Suzanne and Dr Aurora. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, still to come on Heaven and Earth this morning. To tell or not to tell, Fergal Keane investigates whether